Fáilte go dtí our Learn the Lore 21-day challenge with myself, Lora O'Brien, where we're doing a daily video where we're going to look at a small piece of an Irish lore story from the mythology. And we're going to look at the original manuscript version and translations, give a little reading and have a little think about it, basically, and a little chat about it. So we have been looking at Oidhe Cloinne Tuireann, which is the fate or the violent death, both translations are correct, of the sons of Tuireann, basically. So if you have missed previous videos, this is our third video in this particular story. So if you've missed previous videos, please do go back and go through. You're going to have to enroll at www.irishpaganschool.com or sign in if you are already enrolled. And then you will see under My Courses, you can go and see the curriculum. See the Learn the Lore challenge, and then you'll see the curriculum listed on that, and you can just click through and you'll be able to find the previous day's videos through that. So do take the time to go back and have a look through those because they are important. And you're going to be a bit lost without them, because we are going to jump right in to screen share and pick up where we left off. So Lugh had just breasted the horizon, basically. And there was the description of him and his accoutrement. So it begins, then that troop came where the king of Oidhe was, and also the Tuireann Danann, and they welcomed one another. And short was the time they were there, when they saw a grim and ill-looking band advancing towards them, numbering 9 times 9 of the stewards of the Fomorians, who were coming to seek the rent and tribute of the men of Oidhe. Here are the names of the 4 who were the most fierce and cruel of them, viz. Aine, Éaphas, Coran, and Compar. And fear would not permit one of the Tuireann Danann to beat his own son or his foster son on account of the tyranny of these stewards. And they came to the very spot occupied by the king of Oidhe and the fairy cavalcade. This is an interesting one because it puts a very clear juxtaposition between the Tuireann Danann, who are earthly kings, and in our world, earthly tribe, earthly people who are under the thumb of the Fomorians, and the fairy cavalcade or the she-host that Lugh has brought from the other world. And that is that interesting kind of, where the Tuireann Danann are either have been kind of demoted from god status to, be talked about in the vernacular or the secular, but yet that kind of doesn't make sense because Lugh is still being given, magical powers and all the rest of it. So, like, why demote one set, one group, and not demote another group? So the other way to look at it, possibly, is that the Tuireann Danann have gained godlike status in pretty much our times, or their status, or their not even their status, their attributes really have gained a greater importance. So it's not that they didn't have godlike attributes or that they weren't referred to as gods in the older texts, because they definitely were, but it's just an interesting kind of separation between this world and the other world. And the Tuireann Danann at this point in the story cycles are very much of this world. So it is good to note on that. So they came to the very spot occupied by the king of Oidhe and the fairy cavalcade. And the king of Oidhe and all the Tuireann Danann stood up before them. And Lugh Lawfather asked of them, Why did ye stand up before yonder grim and ill-looking band, and not arise before us? We are obliged to do that, replied the King of Éire, for if there were a child of us, of but 1 month old, in a sitting posture before them, they would not deem it cause too little for slaying us. I swear, said Lugh, that a desire to kill them has come upon me. And with that, Lugh again said that a desire to slay them had come upon him. So that's an interesting one. That to me reads like there's a prose line. I swear that a desire to kill them has come upon me. And with that, Lugh again said that a desire to slay them. That seems like somebody describing where Lugh had maybe gone into a poetical version of that, you know, saying that a desire to slay them had come upon him, and that it was deemed either in the by the storyteller or by the scribe, it was deemed to be repetitive, so had just been, you know, summarized with that. That would be my reading of that, you know, that it was the same thing being said, just in a different way. And unfortunately, a lot of poetry was what actually got cut, because again, by the time things were being written down, and later as they went through later iterations and translations and, you know, versions of the stories, the importance of poetry was lost, and the importance of the movement and the feeling of that kind of poetical inspiration that Lugh, say in this case, if this is the case, that Lugh had been inspired to speak as a poet. So back to the text. That is a thing that would result badly for us, interposed the King of Éire. For through that action we would receive our death and our destruction. So the Tuatha De Danann are very afeard of the Fomorians here, you know, and that's really kind of playing out strongly. Long is it, said Lugh, you are under this oppression. And he arose, slaughtered, and disfigured them, until 8 times 9 of them were slain, and the other 9 were allowed under the friendship and protection of the King of Éire. I would also kill you, said Lugh, but that I prefer you to go with tidings to the foreigners, rather than my own ambassadors, lest they should receive dishonour. So Lugh has basically kept some of them alive to send home to tell the Fomorians what has happened. Then these 9 went forward until they arrived in Leighlin, where the Fomorian tribe were, and they told their news to them from first to last, and how the young and well-formed youth had come into Éire, and that all the stewards had been killed by him but themselves. And the reason that he allowed us away is that we might relate the tidings to you. So Leighlin there is a kind of a mixed bag, because generally it refers to, when you see it in the annals, say in later stories, you will see it generally refers to Vikings, but it really means kind of foreigners. And so seeing that, it's kind of location unspecific as far as the tradition goes, and it's just generally taken to mean foreigners, so anybody from away. And Leighlin then is where the foreigners live, so you can go to Leighlin to see the foreigners. Okay. So Balor said, "Do you know who he is?" "I know," replied Cloinne, the wife of Balor, "that person is a daughter's son of yours and mine, and it is a sign and an omen to us that when that person would come into Éire, that never again would we have power in Éire." So Lugh, for anybody who doesn't know the backstory here, Lugh is the grandson of Balor. So the prophecy that kept Balor's daughter locked up in a tower, and Cian, who's Lugh's father, went and either fought his way in or tricked his way into the tower and got with Ethna, I believe was Lu's mother, Ethna or Ethlu. And Lu was born and then basically sent away, and he was put in a basket and put on the sea, or the soldiers threw him in the sea because they took pity on him. There's a couple of different stories of the birth of Lu, which will have familiar motifs to most people. And we are going to just leave that there, and I want you to, your action point or your point to ponder is how you feel about the Tuatha Dé Danann in this position. You know, like we most of us would view them as gods and are very kind of taken with the idea of them as powerful or even all powerful. So how does it feel to read this story or hear this story about the Tuatha Dé Danann being so afraid? And what does that mean to you? Okay. So we will see you for maybe not the rest of it tomorrow, but we'll definitely continue with it tomorrow. I'm not quite sure how far we are from the end, but we will have a look at more on this story in tomorrow's Learn the Lore Challenge. So do sign up, subscribe. If you're looking at this on YouTube at any point, hit the subscription button and hit the bell for notifications of future videos, and enjoy, have a fish around and enjoy the rest. Okay, slán go fóill.